Basically, if there were more than one universe, either they cannot interact, or they can and did, and the existence we share is what remains of the interaction, leaving only remains of the more massive universe. The alternative to this is the two universes that were able to interact were made entirely of the same substance, and if they were the same substance, both would have equal causality requirement, either no causality requirement or actual causality requirement, in which case there's no differentiation between two universes that interact and one universe that interacts with itself.
This is Nicholas Kobold, and I'm responding to Armageddon's recent update. You suggested that one realm outside of our universe is outside of causality. In order to cause our universe without infinite required universes creating each other, well, then dealing with realms that can interact, they're either the same substance or they are different substances. If they're the same substance, then it isn't outside the realm of causality, and if they're different substances, which I'm about to prove they can't be, then perhaps your theory is sound. Baruch Spinoza, which defines God similar to what you just described it, as a singular, self-subsistent substance. Both matter and thought are attributes of such. Well, substance exists and cannot be dependent on anything else for its existence. Premise 1 is no two substances can share the same nature or attribute. The proof is two distinct substances can be differentiated either by some difference in their natures or by some difference in one of their alterable states of being. If they have different natures, then the original proposition is granted and the proof is complete. If, however, they are distinguished only by their states of being, then, considering the substances in themselves, there is no difference between the substances and they are identical. That is, there cannot be several such substances, but only one. It's like taking two identical things and describing them differently, even though they're the same. The second premise is a substance can only be caused by something similar to itself, something that shares its attribute. If there is another universe with a God in it that created our universe, it could only create something like itself, something that would also be outside of causality. The proof for that is substance cannot be caused because something can only be caused by something which is similar to itself. In other words, something that shares its attribute. But according to premise 2, no two substances can share an attribute, therefore substance cannot be caused. Substance is infinite. The proof for that is if substance were not infinite, it would be finite and limited by something. But to be limited by something is to be dependent on it, and substance cannot be dependent on anything else, premise 1, therefore it's infinite. The conclusion you can draw from this is that there can be two infinite substances without either being dependent on each other, because there is unlimited space that they could occupy. The proof for that is if there were not infinite space that a substance could occupy, then it would be limited by space, and this would act as a restraint, making the substance dependent upon space. However, substance cannot be dependent upon anything else, premise 1, therefore space is infinite. There's no boundary to our universe, so there's no interaction between universes. Everything we can prove is based on evidence. If the thing you are attempting to prove has no evidence, you cannot succeed at a proof. The assumption that everything that makes up our universe began would require evidence that it didn't exist at one point in the past, and something that does not exist cannot leave evidence that it does exist for us to come across at a later date. Before humans existed, there was no notion of a creator. We came to be that came up with the idea of God. Based on nothing, the idea of God as a human creation is nothing more than